I didn't argue when she said it. That's the part people don't believe later. They expect shouting, slammed doors, something cinematic. But when my mom screamed Leech, when she said it loud enough for the neighbors to hear, it landed with a dullness that surprised me, like a word that had been circling our house for years finally found its mouth. "You live off us," she yelled. "You contribute nothing. Just sitting here, draining everything." She threw my bags out onto the front step like punctuation. Then she said, "Go leech somewhere else." I stood there for a second, holding my phone, listening to my own breathing. My dad was in the kitchen. I could hear the TV, he didn't come out. I didn't defend myself. I didn't list the things I did. I didn't remind her who handled the bills, who spent hours on hold with utilities, who fixed the messes that appeared quietly and disappeared quietly. None of it mattered in that moment. The story had already been chosen, and I was playing the role assigned. So I picked up my bags and left. The first night away was strange in a small, physical way. I kept waking up, thinking I'd forgotten something important, an account update, a reminder, a payment deadline. For years, my brain had been calibrated to other people's systems. Silence felt irresponsible. Then it felt empty. Then, slowly, it felt like space. I stayed with a friend at first. I didn't tell them everything. I said we'd had a fight. That was easier than explaining how you can live in a house and still be considered an accessory. In the quiet, memories rearranged themselves. Not dramatically, just enough to be uncomfortable. The way my mom would complain about money while handing me bank letters to figure out. The way my dad would say, "You're good with this stuff," and then never learn it himself. The way everything worked as long as I was there, and how that working erased me. 3 weeks passed. No calls, no apologies, no questions about where I'd gone or whether I was okay. I told myself that was confirmation. I also told myself not to care. Both were lies, but manageable ones. Then my phone rang. My dad's name lit up the screen. I answered. "What's going on?" he said, skipping hello. His voice was tight, pitched higher than usual. "The bank froze our account. Everything. Cards, transfers. We can't access anything." I leaned back against the wall and closed my eyes. "They said something about verification," he continued. "Some compliance thing. We don't even know where to start. Do you know anything about this?" There it was. Not my name. My function. I pictured the bank emails I used to open automatically. The 2-factor authentication tied to my number. The annual identity check I'd handled last year without comment. None of it had been dramatic. It was just maintenance, like oiling a machine no one thought about until it seized. "I don't live there anymore," I said. A pause. Breathing on the other end. "Well, can you help us fix it?" he asked. "Your mom's really upset." I thought of her voice on the driveway. "Go leech somewhere else." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. I didn't list receipts. I texted him instead after the call ended. Just one line. "Ask the leech." The response wasn't immediate. When it came, it wasn't calm. Calls followed, messages stacked up. Some angry. Some pleading. Some trying to reframe what had happened. "You know she didn't mean it like that. Families say things. This is bigger than feelings." The bank didn't care about feelings. From their side, it was simple. Verification hadn't been completed. Access credentials were tied to a person no longer authorized or present. Until proper documentation was submitted, accounts would remain frozen. Authority didn't arrive shouting. It arrived in automated emails and polite hold music. My parents had to go in person. They had to answer questions they'd never bothered to understand before. Fees accrued. Bills bounced. Conversations with bank staff turned embarrassing fast. I didn't interfere. That was the part that surprised me the most, not the anger, but how little satisfaction I felt. Mostly I felt tired, and steadier than I had in years. When my mom finally texted me, it wasn't an apology. It was an accusation wrapped in panic. "You did this on purpose." I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "No," I wrote. "I left when you told me to." Everything else happened because I wasn't there. She didn't answer. Weeks later, my dad asked if I wanted to come by and talk things through. The words sounded careful, rehearsed. I imagined sitting at the same table, explaining myself to people who had already decided who I was. I said no. That answer cost me more than I expected. There are days when guilt creeps in, quiet and persistent. Days when I wonder if I should have swallowed it, fixed the problem, gone back to being useful. But then I remember standing on the driveway, bags at my feet, being told I was a leech. And I remember something else too. How easily they survived once they were forced to learn. How the world didn't end. How the story changed, even if no one admitted it out loud. I wasn't a leech. I was infrastructure. And choosing not to be invisible anymore wasn't revenge. It was definition. Some things broke when I left. Some things repaired themselves in ways they never would have if I'd stayed. That's the consequence. I live with it. And for the first time, it feels like mine.